1 second. All right, guys, we're live. This is going to be recorded, so if you guys need to step out for any reason, you need to take care of anything, you can always go back and watch this. But obviously live is better than watching it on recording, so you get to ask live questions. If you want to click on the chat, that way we can ask some live questions if something comes up in the moment. So today we're joined with Doctors Evan and Callan Lichtenauer. They are in the process of opening. They're going to give a brief intro, and then we're going to get right into the questions. But they are two of the best. They are recent leaders at life, and they've been through it all. So without further ado, Doctors Evan and Callan.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to talk about a little bit who we are, because I know not everyone knows us. Evan started Amped Club around his 4th quarter. I got in around 6th. And we were in the leadership program. We saw club grow, and throughout that time, we were together, we got engaged, and we recently got married while we were peaking at Dr. Hess's. So if you're down for a challenge, do that. And then throughout that time period, we focused on where we wanted to go. And right after, Evan graduated in March, I graduated in June, and the day after I graduated, we moved to Northern Virginia, which is where we decided to open our practice and to go. So we'll answer more questions into that. There's some that kind of touch on that as well. So we'll answer more questions as it goes on. And Evan's just going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing since we just kind of started our opening process.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we're really excited to be on here. We've done a lot of calls from the other side as students, so it's really cool to be on this side. And it comes up really quick. So no matter what you're going through right now, whether it's OSCE, midterms, stressing out about classes, just know that it really does fly by. So basically right now, we're about 70 days from opening. We're out there in the community every single day, placing fish bowls, networking, going business to business. Soon we're going to start giving talks. We have our first screening coming up this weekend. And the biggest point that has really been coming up for Dr. Callan and I is the idea that you have to be relentless out there. It really is. You come into this community and you're totally blind. No one knows who you are. No one knows your story. No one knows your mission. No one knows your practices. No one's ever heard of you before. So the biggest thing is being 100% relentless. You're going to be sending out a lot of emails. You're going to be sending out a lot of phone calls. You're going to try to apply for a lot of screenings. You're going to try to place a lot of fish bowls. You're going to get rejected every single day, hundreds of times. I mean, just today I was rejected from 4 Panera Breads, a few Dunkin' Donuts, countless other places. You just have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and be totally relentless in your approach, constantly be on the attack. The whole idea is you're trying to blanket a community. Because no one knows who you are, you're trying to get yourself established and up and running as fast as possible. So your whole mindset should be, print out a map of the area that you want to go to and just draw a circle and say everything inside this circle is mine. And you want to place fish bowls strategically in different locations. You want to join chambers in strategic locations. You want to join networking groups in good locations. So you're kind of circling the entire area so multiple different groups of people know who you are. You don't want to stick in one little side of your community because you want to really be able to reach out there. And the whole idea behind success in practice, from what we're starting to see, is you have to create opportunities and you have to capitalize on them. No one's going to come out there and send you an email and say, hey, we have these great 10 or 12 screening events we think you'd really be great for. You have to really go out there and attack it. No one hands it to you. And that's why you guys being on the call tonight, going to club, all that stuff is so crucial because how many screenings have we paid for so far?
24.
20. So we've put a deposit down on 24 screenings. Just to give you guys a reference point, the total amount we spent is about $10,000 on screenings. And we screen relentlessly in school. So be able to go out there in the community and we know that we can sign people up screening.
I just wanted to say that through everything that Evan just said and everything that we're going to talk about, the only reason why we know how to do any of that is because of our mentors in Amped.
Yep. We're not self-made. We know nothing. All the verbiage we use, everything we use is 100% Amped. We don't use any other groups. We don't use any other coaching programs. It's all 100% Amped. We haven't missed a conference in 2 years.
No.
We went to club obviously every single week. Everything that we do can happen for you. Nothing we do is a secret. Watch the modules, go to club. You'll know exactly what we're doing. We really don't need to do this call because you can figure out exactly what we're doing just by plugging into Amped. So that's a great point. I mean, nothing we do is from our own doing. It's totally reproducible. Everyone does it. We're doing what our mentors did, and you guys are going to eventually do what we are doing. So another big point, we know that conference is coming up in a couple weekends, and next weekend. Yeah. And I can't push you guys enough to be there. And a quote that I heard on a podcast this past week was, every single decision you make has a massive impact on where you'll ultimately end up. So a question that me and Callan are constantly asking ourselves during this process is what I'm doing right now taking me to where I want to go? So it's a constant reflection. It's a great question to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now taking me where I want to go? So when we're out in the community, it's very easy to say, let's just go home. Let's put on some Netflix, let's relax. But no, I mean, we're on a mission here. We're trying to create this massive practice, this massive movement in our community to change the health of thousands of people. So that's where we want to end up. So it's very easy to then say, no, let's get out there. Let's do some more B2B. Let's do some more networking. So you guys being on the call tonight, you guys are making a great decision that's going to have a massive impact on your future. It's really empowering to think that every decision you make can ultimately take you where you want to go. So going to conference is one of those things where you can say, is that decision going to take me where I want to go? Yes, it will, because conferences, we didn't take any public speaking classes. We've done nothing like that. And when you're in the networking phase and in practice, you're public speaking for hours a day. People are constantly listening to you talk. And the only reason we learned how to talk was by going to conference, hearing people who know how to talk, know how to communicate chiropractic. I mean, you don't learn that in school. You learn that at conference. So I can't push you guys enough to be there. If you see us there, please come up to us. The best way to reach us is on Facebook, unless you have our text number, which I can give you guys if you want.
I just changed my number, so yeah.
Yeah, so just reach out to us on Facebook. Send us a message. We'd be happy to hop on a call with any one of you guys and say hi to us at conference. But if anything we say tonight you have a question about that you don't feel comfortable posting on here, send us a message directly. We're an open book. We'll talk about finances. We'll talk about what we're doing. Obviously, we just told you how much we've spent on screening so far. So nothing's a secret with us. So we're happy to hear your guys' questions.
All right. Thank you, guys. Nice use of the word empower. So let's get right into it. First question we have is from Nick Shelby. What were you looking for in an office space, and how did you find your current space?
I'll take this one. We were looking for a lot in our office space. We wanted this, 2,000 square foot office space. We would love an end unit so we can see light when we're adjusting. We wanted so much out of our office, but then reality hit, and we were limited on spaces in our area. And we know that this is our first space. We're in a 5-year lease, and how we're starting out is how everybody who started out before us, like the Stewarts, I know they're ones that we're going to model our practice after. How we settle on our space is, like I said, there weren't many available in our area. But the space that we have is actually in an amazing location. I was driving by it today, and I knew that it happened for a reason. It's on the corner of 3 major highways. It's right where they meet. The area's busiest Chick-fil-A is right across the street. And where we have our architect is helping us make the space work. So
yeah, some big things to remember is it's important to map out what you want in a practice, create your dream practice in your head so you know what you're shooting for. But reality sort of sets in sometimes. It was too expensive for us to get a 2,000 square foot office. It was double the price. We had a space that we really liked that was double the size we have now, right in our sweet spot of what we wanted, but it was too pricey. So we made the smart decision. Like Callan said, she made a good point. I don't know if you heard it, but this is your first practice, not your dream practice. You're going to move out of your space in 5 years. But some things that you really want, you want to be in a like a strip shopping center. You don't want to be in a doctor's complex where you get lost.
Medicine park.
Yeah, there's so many chiropractors that we see just driving around. We were
walking around one the other day that's kind of across from kind of us that's down the street. There's 2 chiropractors in there alone. So
yeah, there's too many doctors in there. You want your name to be in bright lights while people are driving down these major highways. You don't want to be far from the highways. You don't want to bury yourself in some back corner. You want your center to have plenty of parking. Any other major things?
A lot of people say be in a center with a big box store. Ours does not have one, but we kind of asked around our area, asked around people in networking, and we kind of explained to them like, oh, we're right at Fairfax Circle, and they're like, where? And we kind of just started naming things in the complex to see if anything rang a bell, and there's a big restaurant in our complex that is just, it's Artie's. You know, it's not a chain. It's just Artie's.
But everybody knows
Everybody knows what it is because it's been there for 30 years. Yeah. So you just kind of have to play with that. Don't beat yourself up if you're not with a Target or a Walmart or anything.
Yeah, you got to stay humble. We couldn't afford to be in a Target center because we're in a really expensive area.
Okay, cool. Next question. What does your 90-day marketing plan look like? Do you plan on doing more health talks, networking, or screening, or do you plan on taking a more balanced approach?
We're starting off doing a lot of screenings. Like we said, we've already applied for 24, but those only go until November. They start, this weekend is our first, and they kind of die down in November because that's normally how the seasons go, especially here in the Northeast because it gets cold and nobody wants to be outside. So we have a lot of screenings, and we just set out our fish bowls. We're in the process of finishing setting out our fish bowls now. We have about 20. So we're going to start with the health talks there, and we're going to focus more on the health talks when it comes the winter months because the screenings then don't pick up until about March, but really April. Yeah,
there's a strategy for your marketing. It's in like little chunks of seasons. For the first 30 days of our 90 days, so it's almost in thirds. The first 30 days, we are networking our butts off. We're obviously preparing for the next couple of phases. Like she said, we've already paid for the screenings. We don't really even have to look for events so much right now. We can look in the spring. We're placing right now. We have 13 fish bowls out. We have 7 more to place. So those are going to fester. Those are going to build. So that in the second and third phases, second and third phases of our 90 days, we can then take our fish bowls, which have been building up business cards, and we can start doing talks. And then, so basically right now, I mean, we're just networking our butts off. We're going to everything and anything. Yesterday, we got an email at about 2 o'clock, and a guy said, hey, we wanted to invite you to this networking event last minute tonight at 5:30. We immediately dropped everything we were doing and made sure we were there.
And it was a good idea.
Yeah. So in the beginning, you're just trying to meet as many people as possible. We are in 2 chambers. We're in a BNI. Our chambers have networking groups inside of them. Every chamber has committees. They have like 8 or 9 committees: the membership committee, the marketing committee, the public works committee, the whatever else committee.
Young professionals.
And they all have meetings. Yeah. So we're not planning to join any of these committees because we don't have time for it once you open a practice. But we're going to go to all the meetings so that people start to see us again and again and again and again. What you want to do is you want people to think, whenever they think chiropractor, we want them to think Evan and Callan, Empower Chiropractic. Yeah. It's that just an instant click. And the more people see your face and you say, hi, I'm a chiropractor, the more they're associated with. So it is a balanced approach, but it's not balanced as you go along. It's heavy networking, then it's heavy health talks and screenings.
Yeah. Awesome. Next question we have from Matt Ralco. How are you able to sign someone up and take a deposit at a screening, health talk, or other marketing event when you have an office that is not open yet?
That's such a dumb question, Matt. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, Evan, you might not know you're kidding.
I'm kidding. That's a great question. Actually.
It is. It's a really good question. And honestly, what AMP says a lot is they say, oh, we don't have any availability until, look, he left the chat. Oh, we don't have any availability until October. But I know I'm bad at lying. So, but what Evan and I talked about is that we're just going to say, we're going to be honest with people because it comes out anyway. If they start following us on Facebook, they're going to know that we are signing a lease and our ribbon cuttings in October. So we're just going to be like, yeah, we're new to the community. We're new to the area. People have loved that so far. So we're saying we're opening here and we're going to be open in the fall. And then
yeah, you can make it a positive thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a negative that you're not open yet. Yeah. You don't have to we're not going to hide it. Like she said, we're not going to say, oh, our next available appointment is in a few months.
And then they see on Facebook that we're opening. I don't know.
What we're going to say is we're opening this brand new state-of-the-art facility with all this up-to-date technology and the latest trends and research in chiropractic. And we're currently building that out. You're going to be one of the first people to experience that. So you can get people really excited about it. And it's something we learned from our mentors. Sign people up as early as possible.
Yeah.
People you sign up in August will come in October. There's no reason they won't. Take a deposit as early as you possibly can versus signing up people complimentary.
Especially because they don't know the principle yet. We've kind of discussed what we do in our office with some people we've met networking, and they're just like blown away. They pull other people aside and be like, oh, have you met them yet? Like they have this new technology in their office. They do this no popping, twisting, cracking thing, and they're all like into it. Then that kind of brings on the conversation that we're not want to be having it because we want to build up the excitement of what we do, but we have it anyway.
Yeah, you kind of want to be a little mysterious with what you do.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell people the whole story right away. You kind of give them little snippets like, oh yeah, we have this brand new technique, no twisting, cracking, popping, or you can say, we have this great technology invented by NASA. Just kind of feed them little things to get them excited like that.
Next question, another one from Nick. What equipment, office supplies did you buy while you were in school?
We bought 2 Insights. There's a great website, and I shouldn't be telling you this because I'm still in the market for another Insight, but it's planetc1.com. Planet C1, the number 1, not spelled out. So if you go on that website, it's chiropractor whitey pages or chiropractic classifieds essentially, and people are selling stuff on it. We just talked to somebody the other day who just bought an Insight on there. That's a big thing is you want to buy Insights or Titrons, whatever your technique is, on the cheap because they can get really expensive. Just talk to somebody who knows what they're doing before you buy. You can always message us because you never know what you're getting into. We can give you more advice on that. We bought a lot of things. We bought some office chairs.
On Black Friday, we went out and we got some TVs.
Yep, we bought all of our computers.
Yeah.
Peachtree Computer. It's about 15 minutes from Life University.
Unless you're in traffic.
Peachtree Computers. We have a contact there. I forgot his name. You could message me. I can send you his text and cell phone number. We bought all of our office computers, 13 computers for $190 a piece.
Literally the day I graduated.
Yeah, we shoved them in the car and put them in the U-Haul and left the day she graduated. Yeah. So computers, Insights. We bought a lot of posters for the office, our giant A&S chart. We bought that. If you go to a conference, they have great deals with the Mind Tweak stuff. We did a lot of canvases. We made our paperwork. I know that's not buying stuff, but we made our paperwork. Callan built our website.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff you can be doing when you're in class. Other stuff we bought.
And everything, I think if like before you're a year out, when you're a year out, you can start buying stuff for your office, and then you can write off things that you bought even before you were open.
Yeah, so it's tax deductible.
Yeah, so it still counts.
I can think of more. Yeah, televisions. We bought integrators for TRT. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Anytime you can find things cheap, just buy it. Store it. You're going to save yourself money in the long run. Our apartment is filled with crap right now that we bought in school.
Yeah.
Matt asked a quick follow-up question for his screening question. So after you sign them up, if you're 3 months out, he's asking, do you do a reminder email or phone call throughout the time, or do you just wait until you're really close to opening?
Yeah, I can answer this. So we have an Excel sheet that has everyone's name, number, email, where we met them, a little snippet about them. And then we have another, so that's for your networking people. So every business card we get gets right onto this list. But when we sign people up on screening, we have a calendar that we built just on Excel. It's really simple. You just put in the time, their name, number, stuff like that. And we created a color code system. So when we color code someone green, that means we followed up with them once. When we color code someone, we haven't come up with the colors yet, but when you color code orange, that's we followed up 2 times. And when we follow up red, that means we followed up 3 times. So you can quickly look at your calendar and say, oh crap, we forgot to follow up with Joe. Let's follow up with him. Let's turn him green so that we know we followed up with them. It depends when you meet somebody, how many times you're going to follow them up. The rule is if you meet someone at a screening on Saturday, you want to call them Monday to remind them, thank them for coming into your booth. So that's the first follow-up. And then, if we sign people up this weekend, we still have 70 days till our opening. We're going to probably wait 1 month and then touch base with them. Hey, just want to let you know we're so excited for you coming in. And then we'll touch base with them probably a week before our opening. So it only has to be a couple times, but make sure you touch base with them as soon as you sign them up that following Monday. And that goes for when you're in practice too. Every time you meet someone at a screening on a Saturday, you want to follow them up with a call on Monday, thanking them for coming into the booth. If they didn't sign up, you want to do the same thing. Call them, offer them another spot in your office. Good question.
Next question we got is from Jesse Ventoso. He asks, how is the build out coming along? Can you elaborate on the obstacles you guys have come across and how have you overcome them?
The build out, the build out is still in the pre-processes. So something that we started doing while we were peaking, well, not at Discover, but like literally on our time, not at Discover. We started talking to Jeffrey Hallberg, who is an Amped affiliate, who is the broker for Amped, and he's fantastic. He is
it's free. It's totally free.
He's free.
You pay nothing.
He's a great resource. So we just kind of told him where we were looking. And then from there, since Evan was technically already graduated, he was there for about a year. I was peaking. He took some weekends off and he would go fly and like look at the spaces. And we would just look at what, like one was behind a building, another one like a PT place was wrapped around it. So we kind of knew that his name was Jeffrey Hallberg.
Jeff Hallberg on Facebook.
Yeah, so we knew that there were some places that we didn't like, some places that we would like. And then towards the end, we gave him a list of that we liked that we would start to negotiate. And then, so we started doing, long story short, we were negotiating before we left on our honeymoon, which is about a week after we moved. And then we came back, he had 2 places ready to go for us. And then we've kind of, one was just a fantastic deal. Like he negotiated us like 7 months free rent. It was fantastic. It still is fantastic. That's the one we're going with. But they told us we wouldn't get the space until August 1st. So we thought, oh great, we'll sign a lease. They'll give us the keys, but they've kind of been delaying until tomorrow. So in the meantime, we know we're getting the space. So we hired an architect and we did that just by searching around for architects. When you get to networking meetings, or start meeting with other contractors as well, they know people. So you ask for architects, and we've just finished interviewing contractors. We're waiting on 2 last quotes, but if you've seen some of Evan's posts on, oh gosh, if you've seen some of Evan's posts on the AMP page, then you would know that we've been getting really high bids, but we've just been getting really low ones recently because we've started asking the right questions and started demanding that this is our budget. We're not messing around anymore.
So there's a few key points that, and all that's 100%, that's gold. So the process to build out a space is obviously you find the space, then Jeff Hallberg will send out what's called a letter of intent, which means we're going to start negotiating on this space. You only send the letter of intent out to a couple spaces. Any space that you say, I'd be very happy opening a practice in there, is where Jeff sends the letter of intent to. Once he sends the letter of intent and you know where you're going to go, Rachel, you got to mute yourself.
Bye.
There you go. Go away. Okay, so you send out the letter of intents. And then once the letter of intents are out, then you start drawing your space. You take the size, you take all that, and you start to draw it. You have like a hand-drawn image almost, and you submit it to your architect. Your architect then takes that drawing and makes professional drawings based on that. So you have your professional drawings, and then you take those professional drawings, which are finished, and you submit them to contractors. Meanwhile, you've already kind of met with contractors. They kind of know who you are. We've met with so far like 15 contractors because a lot of them are dirtbags and just screwing us.
They're lovely people.
No, they're not. And then, so you have your professional drawings that the architect built. The contractor then bids on those drawings. Once they bid on the drawings, you can see, okay, which was the best price, which contractor is the best fit. Your permitting is going through with the drawings. You pick your contractor and you're off to the races. One key note is you want to find a really good architect, obviously, but what does that mean? Our architect does two things. He's an architect and he's an engineer. So there's two sets of drawings that you need. You need your basic architectural drawings, which is basically what you've seen. It looks like a blueprint. It looks like rooms. If you're on the AMP page, you see people post it all the time. You probably saw us post it. Then there's a second set of drawings that we didn't know about. That's called the MEP drawings, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP, which is all the ceiling and floor crap that we don't even know. It just looks like lines. It's wires. It's plumbing. So what's great about our architect is he does both drawings together. So when our contractor, whoever we hire, has an issue and has a question about our drawings, he doesn't have to call 6 different people. He calls one guy. So if you can find someone like that in your community, I don't know how common they are. It might be, you know, a diamond in the rough, but if you can find that, it's really key because it speeds up the process. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he can do all the drawings at once, and it makes our job a lot easier, makes the contractor's job a lot easier. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense on the timeline.
If you're worried about price, don't think that this kind of architect is someone who's like the most expensive.
He's the cheapest
he
in
actually
town.
gave us the cheapest quote that we got. So.
And for reference, he cost us $8,000. You can get that cheaper.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher just because
we're in an expensive area.
Architects have to live too.
If you're opening up in Indianapolis, I'm sure you can get it a lot cheaper.
Hey, Rachel.
If you have any questions on anything I just said, post it on the chat to the right. I know I said a lot. If you want me to repeat anything, I can, because all that is stuff that we kind of learned on the fly. Jumpstart does a really good job of teaching it to you, but it helps to have it step by step written out.
Also, what we learned is that because permitting depends by county. We're in Fairfax. We're in the city of Fairfax. Literally, we're right on the line, and thankfully we are, because some permitting takes like 4 weeks less than it would if we were in the county of Fairfax. So while this permitting is still going through, our contractor can literally walk in the next day that we sign the lease, get 60% of it, the build out done, and then we just have to wait for the permits to go through so we can finish it.
I know there's a question on permits coming up, so we can go into more what permitting is a little bit later.
But that's just the end of the build out.
Yeah. Any questions on the build out, let us know.
Awesome. Next question is from Ryan Hewitt. Biggest mistake you have made, and what would you have done differently?
Oh, I don't remember.
Biggest mistake we made. I would say the biggest mistake we made, honestly, so far now that it just came to my head, is we didn't start sooner. Obviously, if you go all the way back to school, I would have liked to have started in first quarter. I think we're pretty prepared, but you can always be more prepared. If you're in second quarter, don't think, oh, I'll wait till fourth quarter. I started in fourth quarter. I could have had another year under my belt of preparation. But in terms of the actual build out, we could have started earlier when it came to looking for spaces, sending LOIs out. Always start earlier than you think, because you can always delay the process to where you want to sign. You only want to sign the lease when you're totally ready to start knocking walls down and building the space up. But you can always negotiate a lot earlier. So it would have been a lot nicer to be able to start building or be prepared to sign the lease earlier. No?
I don't know if I fully agree with that one.
I think it always helps to start earlier.
We couldn't have, though. We didn't live here.
No, but you can start the negotiation process without having to live there.
Yeah.
Other than that, we haven't made any mistakes at all, I swear.
I mean, every day you're going to run into issues. But for as long-term things, we haven't been in it long enough to know some of the consequences of the decisions that we've made. But you're going to run into things every day, and you just have to roll with the punches. Like in the span of one day, we had like 3 different architects, 3 different contractors tell us multiple different things about what we need for permitting based on occupancy load and everything. And we were frustrated. We spent 6 hours trying to draw up our own floor plan because we found out we needed 2 bathrooms in a place with 1 bathroom that's literally in the middle of the space. And we just got too hard on ourselves and frustrated. And that's something that you cannot do in this process. You're going to have kickbacks every day, and you can't just beat yourself up every day. Yeah,
if you know where you're going to practice, start calling permitting offices. Mm-hmm. Call them directly. They'll take your calls. They're happy to help. If you call the permitting office directly, you can say, I'm opening a chiropractic office. How long do permits generally take? If our space is going to be about 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, how many bathrooms do I need? Are there any weird quirks in this permitting location that I need to know about? Like we need a water fountain, stuff like that. I mean, it can't hurt to call ahead and start taking notes on all that stuff. If you know where you're going early, don't put pressure on yourself to know where you want to open, But if you do already know, start compiling networking groups, start looking at screenings. You can compile all this stuff really early on. So that, I mean, it's not a mistake, but it always helped to have that stuff done early. We didn't know where we wanted to go till late in the game, though.
So now on the other end of the spectrum, Nick asks, what is the biggest success or best decision you have made so far?
We started looking for screenings while still in school.
Paying for screenings.
Yeah, paying for screenings in school. I was like in my first quarter of peak. Evan was in his last quarter of peak or something like that.
Yeah, we were sitting in class paying for screenings. You were.
Oh, I was in class. Yeah, that's right. We were looking at screenings. We were paying for screenings because one big one that we have in October, their deadline was in March and we didn't make it. So we called and asked if we were able to like jump in, and they fortunately let us. And then we were like, wow, we have to.
That's a key point. Based on what we were talking about earlier, being relentless with it, this was a huge event in our area, and it was falling right before where our ribbon cutting looks like it's going to be. So it's a sweet spot. And we saw, oh crap, the deadline was 2 days earlier. Don't take no for an answer. Yeah, like just, we called this lady up. I sent her a huge email. I followed up with her multiple times. We've been told no from farmers markets that we've eventually got into. We got into 2 farmers markets after people said they don't allow anyone but food vendors into farmers markets. That's what the whole point about being relentless. Just a pursuit. Keep attacking until you get what you want. Obviously, know when to stop. One farmers market said, obviously, like, if they say no to your face and tell you to go away, don't waste your time. But another farmers market had a chiropractor at it. And I said, I'd like to apply for this farmers market. And they say, we don't take chiropractors. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I said, well, you have a chiropractor at it. And then she kind of got backed into a corner and she let us in. So, I mean, this is your practice. You got to really push for it.
And it's really great after spending so many years. Obviously, I've loved every experience we've had, every red-eye flight, every night sleeping on an air mattress. But all of those, you might like be exhausted, you might be tired all throughout school, just sick of being in school. But when you get here, it makes it so much better. And I hated school. So
yeah, another good thing is make sure you push yourself in school. Obviously, the biggest thing is to not fail classes. But if you can, it happens. Yeah, obviously, like you don't want to just say, oh, I'm going to, fly to Colorado the day before I have an exam and miss my exam and fail a class. But if there's an opportunity where you can fly out of town 2 straight weekends, I think that's really big because it forces you to have to figure out your life on the fly, which is what this is. Mm-hmm. Every single day it's basically on the fly. Holy crap, I forgot to eat lunch. I need to eat or else I'm going to pass out. How am I going to grocery shop this week? When we have a screening this weekend, we have a screening 12 hours on Saturday, 10 hours on Sunday. We kind of have to figure it out. So if you at any point can go out of town 2 straight weekends, that really taught us.
There was, I think, one quarter. I'm not saying do this by all means. Everybody's different, but there was one quarter. Well, it was most of our time at school where we had our next quarter planned by like week 4 of the quarter we were in now, or at that time.
Yeah.
And I think one quarter we were out of town almost every weekend or busy every weekend. We didn't have a free weekend. And yeah, that it does like take a toll on you, but.
And you have to pick the right quarter to do it. Don't do it during 5th or 7th
or
12th.
Boards, and just don't.
Yeah.
But.
So yeah, push your boundaries a little bit. That's something that we were always taught by Dr. Hess to do in school, is to always be pushing your boundaries, because nothing pushes your boundaries. I mean, we're not even really into this thing yet, and our boundaries are being pushed. So
we did set a goal for ourselves, though, is no matter what, we're going to be done by 8:30 or 9 o'clock every day. And we get up at 6. Evan tried 5:30, and he just like hit snooze.
On Wednesdays, I have to.
All right, that's true. B and I. But we get up early. We start early, but we're always kind of focused on ourselves and focused on kind of getting back to like who we are, just so we don't get lost in this whole process by
nighttime. So at 8:30.
And I go to bed at like 9:30.
8:30 or 9 o'clock every night. We shut everything, and we just kind of connect back into each other.
Yep.
All right, next question we have from Jesse Ventoso again. He's asking, what extra amenities are you guys opening up with Fortis, SCED, accounting?
We have an accountant. We're with the Byerlys on accounting. We're going to be with Jeff Hallberg. I'm sorry, John Davila We're going to have Fortis. If you don't know what Fortis is, it's a credit card processing system. I don't know an office in AMP that doesn't use it now. Yeah, Platinum software. Pretty much every AMP office uses that.
We're going to be starting with Sked.
Sked is mobile scheduling.
The mobile app scheduling. Some offices don't do it because of cost, but where we are outside of DC,
it's a very techie area.
It's a very techie, very young area, very busy area. So we figured that it would be best if we started with it instead of introducing it later.
But you got to look at your budget.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some things, if you can't afford it, you cut out.
Yeah.
Our non-negotiable for us was obviously Fortis because you need a credit card processor, and working with Shannon and Bill.
Mm-hmm.
They're the insurance gurus. So that was non-negotiable for us because that's going to help us make money. That's going to help us with insurance versus maybe some other things. Yeah, maybe you don't really need this or that. I don't want to name any specifics, but that's what we're starting with. So every office is different. We got a question on the right here that we can answer. Do you guys get a loan, line of credit, cosign? So we got a loan, a family loan. So we didn't go through banks. A lot of people go through banks. We didn't have to, luckily.
Yeah.
We got fortunate on that. But obviously we're still gonna be paying back a loan. So did you talk, how many banks you talk to other people who open with banks. Talk to Kent Davatilla.
I know Lauren Koss just posted this amazing thing on the AMP page, how her parents had a cosign for her, for a loan for her, something like that, because she got turned down by every bank that she talked to. So she did that whole route. So
yeah, and the question is, how many banks do you talk to? I guess the answer is you talk to as many banks until they say yes.
Yeah.
So there's some tricks that we've heard. If you ask for under 25,000, they don't have to talk to their supervisor to approve that. So you can kind of mix and match banks for loans. Talk to people who've done it. I know Kent Davatilla did it. I know a ton of AMP doctors did it. So reach out to someone who's actually done that.
Okay, we have another question from Kent about permits. You guys may have touched on this, so if you did, we can go on the next one. But he asks, what types of permits do you all have to get taken care of to get the build out completed and office up and open?
Yeah, this is actually a really good question, because I know for me this is nothing that I thought about. It might vary by county, so it might vary by state. I don't know the details of that, but I know that we had to get a zoning permit, and that's just to allow us to have a chiropractic office in our complex, because they just have to make sure that we can do it there, which our landlord should know.
And building permits.
And then we had to do the building permit,
which everybody has to do.
Yeah.
That's when you hear permits.
Yeah.
It's short from building permits. It's basically your architect takes the architectural drawings that he's completed, and you submit it in for what's called permitting. In our county, it takes 3 weeks. In the county right over from us, it takes 8 to 11 weeks. So if you're deciding between two spaces and everything's totally equal, call the permitting office. Say, hey, how long does it take to do permitting? Call them. If you know where you're going, call them now. Just poke around. It can't hurt.
And we have to get a signing permit for like our sign that goes above our building, and a business license that kind of went in with the permitting process. And I think that's it. Yeah.
And again, we figured this all out on the fly. It's not like we walked in
literally the other day.
It's not like we walked into our city and we're like, Dan, here's all of our stuff for permitting. We walked in and we were like, what do we need? Yeah. And they said, well, okay, you need this, 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 and this. And then we did it.
They were very helpful. Like I walked in only knowing like permitting horror stories, but we walked in, they were like, we don't know what to do. And they were so helpful. They just told us the whole process. Like, oh, when this is done, you go to these people at this desk, and everybody was just so nice.
Rachel has a question there. Have you started working with your billing department? Okay, so I'll choose one at a time. You can't start working with your billing department. I mean, you can always call Shannon and Bill, but you can't start getting a network with insurance companies until you have a signed lease. So the day that you sign the lease, the next thing you need to do is talk to whoever's doing your insurance billing, whether it be Shannon and Bill or Rev Billing or Platinum Billing, whoever you're using, and say, hey, I signed my lease. Let's start getting a network, because you have to fill out a stack of Medicare papers about that tall. And then you can start applying for Blue Cross Blue Shield and all that stuff. Do you have your NPI tax ID? Yeah, Byerly got it for us. He did it, but pro bono. because we're working with him.
We did that like 6 months ago.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that tomorrow if you knew where you were opening, but I wouldn't because it costs $100.
And you might change your mind.
Yeah, we got our LLC, our MPI, and our tax ID all within 30 minutes. Just talking to the buyer leads, and have you started applying to be a network? Just what we were saying. You can't do it until you sign a lease. But we're going to try to be a network with whoever's going to take us. You know, we want to help people as much as possible. We don't want to play the insurance game. That's why we're hiring people to do it for us. But if we can help people out, people pay a lot of money for their insurance, especially where we are. So we're going to help them out any way we can.
Awesome. Next question from Matt Rauco. What is the process like to get in network with common insurance networks? And what networks do you guys plan on getting a network with?
Just answer that one.
The same thing that you just said.
Same thing. Shannon and Bill do it for you.
Okay.
Or whoever, Rev. I mean, once you sign your lease, you say, hey, whoever I'm working with, Shannon, Bill, hey, we just signed our lease. Let's get network. They're the experts.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
We got a question from Chris Pilardi. In terms of getting the word out, which people, groups, marketing tools, or businesses have been most helpful in getting the word out that your office is the chiropractic office in the area?
So far, networking has been really beneficial for us. We just started by Googling chambers in the area. And what we did, which I actually thought was something great that we did, was we looked at where they all were, and we went in and introduced ourselves. Some networking chambers, were like, this is great, you're awesome. Like, our membership coordinator's out of town, but they still talked to us. They gave us their card, and then the membership coordinator called us like as soon as they were back into town, set up a meeting with us, and we knew that that's just where we had to be. Others were kind of rude and like, why are you here? And we knew that that wasn't the place for us. Others didn't really have a meeting place, and we're kind of like, okay, well, they don't really have, we later found out that they didn't really have it together, and that kind of showed. So we know we want to be intentional with our time. We always want to be productive. We don't just want to join something just to join it. And networking has been great. So the feelings that we got from the chambers we're in were both amazing. We get emails all the time of people that we just met last week for 10 minutes, like have us in an email with somebody else that they know and introduce us. And it's kind of been great so far.
Yeah, the key is to market yourself. I mean, basically when you walk into networking meetings, you need to smile for the full hour and be as likable as possible. We're both introverts. You know, we both can't handle being with people for long periods of time, which is kind of something that we have to get over for the next rest of our life. I
can do it. I just like drink in my bathtub.
And other chiropractors, man, we've run into a few chiropractors already. We were at a BNI, which is a networking group that's industry exclusive, which means there can only be one chiropractor in each group. We showed up to a BNI because we looked at the attendance list and we didn't see chiropractor. We saw
health and wellness.
We saw Dr. Jen, health and wellness, and we clicked on her. It said nothing about chiropractor, so we showed up.
Turns out she was a
chiropractor. She said, I don't know how you didn't know I was a chiropractor. We found out after the fact. We went back and it's like, well, it doesn't say chiropractor on your profile. So you give what's called a 30-second intro. They go in a circle, everybody in the room, and everyone does basically an elevator speech where they say who they are, what they do. So you're going to have Bob the electrician talking about electricity for 30 seconds. You're going to want to fall asleep.
And who's the referral that they want, who's somebody that they need, who they're looking for. Like photographers always looking for people getting married, stuff like that. Because the whole purpose of BNI is to generate referrals and business. This
chiropractor stands up and says, hey, I'm Dr. Jen. I do diagnostic ultrasound. I do massage therapy, nutrition.
You know, I'm a good referral for me as somebody who's looking to share a space.
She didn't say chiropractic once.
And so I was going to be nice and just thank her for letting me be there because there was some confusion. Some people weren't too happy that we showed up, but they let us in and she was chill with it. But then I kind of got up and just said,
she did the amped 30 seconds. Again, we didn't write our own 30 seconds. We used the amped one.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Tailored it to us.
Yeah. So. And then we've had 2 people email us from that group.
Yeah.
That chiropractor's been in that group for a year and a half. And we've already gotten 2 emails from people in that group that have heard her story every week for the last year and a half. Email us and say, we're interested to hear more about what you guys do. If you just do the AMP procedures, I mean, and if you market yourself, Chris's question, how do you say that you're the chiropractor? It kind of says it sells itself.
Yeah.
So you got to be out there as much as possible, getting in front of people and selling it.
And something that we learned a lot throughout school, being a couple doctor team. We didn't know if we should divide and conquer. We didn't know if we should do everything together. We didn't really know how to do that. And what we found is that with networking events, a lot of stuff like that, one-on-ones we do separately unless it's like the other day we met with a lawyer who might do our PI. Like we
met with that together.
We both want to do that together, but people that we approach networking, those one-on-ones we do by ourselves. But
and there's a key to that. There's something called what we call strategic marketing.
Yeah.
So we don't do, or we try to avoid doing one-on-ones with the insurance guy that wants to sell us life insurance. You know, unless they're super well connected in the chamber or the networking group, we don't meet with them.
Board member, if they run it,
if they know everybody.
We do that. But what I was saying earlier was that we signed up for these chambers together. We walked in again, and now everybody knows us as like the cute couple or whatever. We've heard it from both of our chambers now, and so many people approach us, and a lot of people are like, oh, we're a husband and wife team too. Or, I mean, if you're a solo doc, like, don't think that you have to go get somebody. It's just something that as a couple doctor, we didn't know what we should do, and this is the approach that we found.
As a solo doc, people are just super excited that you're a young disruptor in the community. People like to see younger people do what they do. You know, people are always saying all the time, like, you guys are so young, and it's great you're doing this already. It's great. We just graduated and we're out there. If you're a solo doc out there and you can just say, hey, I just graduated. I couldn't wait to attack my community, so here I am. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna grab my charger.
Cool. Next question we have from Jessica. What's it like opening an office with your spouse? Have you faced any challenges so far between work and home life, and how do you juggle becoming new business owners as well as recent newlyweds?
We kind of knew going into this that we would be spending all day, every day together. Some of our mentors, one of our biggest mentors, are a couple. They are a couple doctors who work together. And they told us that some people might be like, oh, you're going to work together. Like, oh, that sucks. I couldn't do that every day. But we learned from them to celebrate the positives. We're on the same mission. We come home and every day we get to celebrate the testimonials that we got together, and we know what it means. So having a spouse in your office, in your case, is very beneficial. But also for some people, like, it all depends on you and your personality. But we haven't had any issues. We know when we need space and time alone. I like to annoy Evan all the time, but like last night I took my bath and listened to music and lit candles, and he was out here watching Netflix or something.
Yeah, you gotta release sometimes. You know, you can't wake up at 6 a.m. and market until midnight. We make sure we take a little time every night to release, because you know you're still in the jumpstart process. Right. But also, I mean, if you're working with your spouse, it's a constant communication. Being on the same mission is really crucial. But if you're listening in and you're going to open up a solo practice, like Callan said, don't think you need to go find somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, we know plenty of people that we just graduated with.
Super successful.
I mean, one of my buddies, Alex Gompers, you know, if you're a solo doc, message him, because he just signed a lease on a space. He's right where we are opening up, and he's doing it by himself. And it's really no different. I mean, we're the same scripts, the same procedures, the same networking. And instead of 2 people, it's 1. That's the only difference. You're live, Brian?
Brian.
Oh, I thought you were going to answer that question that someone posted.
Oh, I can answer that. When did you guys purchase and start going through Jumpstart? We went through so it was my 9th quarter.
You started it, yeah.
I did Jumpstart first. I can talk a lot about Jumpstart. So if you don't know what Jumpstart is, There's the basic AMP program, which is the student basic program, $97. Doctors pay $900 for it. So you're getting a $800 discount. Can't pass it up. So that's the everyday practice version of AMPS. Then there's Jumpstart. It lasts 6 months. You get a module every month for 6 months. And don't think I'm selling it to you. I'm a paying member just like you guys. But it teaches you how to go from the day you graduate until a few months after you open. Because there is that transition period when you get open and you're still not really established yet that it walks you through. It takes you everything from logo creation, casting a vision, getting a name, finding a location, negotiating a space, doing a marketing plan, hiring your first team members, how you structure your first few weeks, how you structure screenings. It goes through all that. So I started that in 9th quarter. I wouldn't recommend starting much earlier unless you're one of those people that started AMPed in 1st quarter and by 7th quarter you've watched every module possible, because there's so much to learn. If you're not certified and you haven't screened a bunch, Jumpstart's not, I mean, you have to know the basics first. And I wouldn't do Jumpstart 14th quarter because you need time to digest it. So
once you buy it, you can watch it as many times as you
watch it
want.
Forever.
Evan started it, and then I jumped on his, and I was watching it, and now we're going through it together. Like, you have it forever.
Yeah.
We're about to start hiring, so we're about to watch the Dream Team module together again.
Yeah. So there's the basic Jumpstart modules, which is great, and then there's the live calls. So there's live calls that are recorded all the way back from like 2014 or 15. And I took a whole quarter and I watched all of them. There was like 50 or something calls. If you just say to yourself, if you're in Jumpstart right now or you're about to start the process, I'm just going to watch 3 of these calls a week. You can easily get through Jumpstart, or I guess 4 or 5 calls a week. It's really not bad. They're each like 45 minutes. You can, say every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to watch 1 call. You can crush them. You can crush 2 or 3 back to back. You can watch it on 1.5 speed and finish them in 30 minutes. Half of my notebook is from those calls. So there's so much to dive into at Jumpstart, and it really, we wouldn't know what we were doing without it. Yeah.
When are you guys looking to hire your first team member?
We're starting the hiring process now.
Yeah, we just literally made our Indeed account today, and just for another reference, we're not opening for another 70 days.
Yeah, we want to have time to go through the whole process. I haven't posted the job listing yet. We're just starting to create it now. We hope it will go live within the next week. We're going to give it time for people to apply. And in my head, I'm just going to say like by September, we'll be meeting with people just because you want time to start training your team members. So.
Yeah, about 6 hours a week is what we heard.
Yeah.
6 hours a week for a month is plenty of time. You want to train them on phones. You want to train them on tour, and you want to train them on the little stuff that they can do at the front desk, like checking people in and recognizing what a reassessment is and stuff like that. So you do need a little bit of time to train them. So we're starting the process now. We probably won't hire somebody for like a month.
Yeah.
Question from Rebecca Joy. What made you decide to build instead of buying an old practice?
We never really considered buying an old practice.
No.
I don't really know much about buying an old practice other than what we were trained on for 3 years was building from scratch. I wouldn't really know how to do it another way. I don't know if it'd be cheaper. I don't know if it'd be easier. I don't know. It might be. But we were going to do what we spent 3 years being trained to do, and that was open up a practice from scratch.
I mean, a lot of offices, I have friends who just today bought an office, an old chiropractor's office. So yeah, you can do it. But in our case, there are a lot of offices in the medicine parks, like we said.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of
upstairs,
offices where we want them.
like a second floor, no, that non-negotiable. We're not doing it. Or in a back little medicine park, like we didn't want that either. So
yeah, I mean,
and we even had a contractor ask us, like, why do you want a strip mall, not like a little park? And we were like, because.
Yeah, good question, Rebecca.
Yeah.
If you want more, I could probably think of a few docs that bought a practice. I know there's one in Colorado who bought another person's ant practice, I believe. I can give you their name if you want. That's a little bit different case, though.
I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, we wouldn't say no.
All right. Are there any last questions? Anyone want to post a question real quick? There we go. You guys see that?
Yeah.
The date of our ribbon cutting, right now it's looking like October 15th. It could always get pushed back a week to be.
Yeah, contractors could find something.
October 15th is a Monday.
We don't know.
So October 11th, with our first day being October 15th, it could always get pushed back to October 18th.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Yeah, you really don't know until you get a lot closer. And even then, you surely probably don't even know until you get really close. But sometime in October, everyone's welcome. What's next on the agenda for you guys?
Tomorrow is he's going to a BNI. I'm going to a lead share, which is like
basically BNI.
It's a BNI, but from the chambers. It's not every week. They're twice a month. More meetings, more one-on-ones, and more fish bowls.
Yeah, in case you're curious what a normal day looks like, I'll read you our schedule tomorrow. Okay, so at 7:30 a.m. I have BNI. At 8 a.m. Callan has the lead share group. At 11:30 we have another chamber lead share, so that's 3 networking meetings all before noon. At 1 o'clock we have a one-on-one with a lady who we're looking to buy.
And that's one we're going to do together because we're looking
to buy. It's office stuff. We're looking at industrial printers from her. And then that goes till 2 o'clock. From 2 o'clock until about 5 o'clock, we're going to place some more fish bowls. We still have 6 more fish bowls to place. And then as soon as 5 o'clock hits,
we'll probably come home. Emails, write thank you
cards, emails. Look, I mean, we're really trying to attack midwives, doulas, birthing centers. So we're trying to set up a lot of meetings with them.
Oh, and thank you. Speaking of thank you cards, a lot of people do them. We are writing them for everybody that we meet. When we were applying for one of the chambers that we're in, the president of the chamber actually walked in and introduced himself. He got a thank you card. And then a week later, we saw him at this big grand opening of
150 people.
Yeah, of a hotel. So a lot of people were there. He approached us. He was like, wow, thank you for that card. So,
yeah, it's the little things like that AMP teaches you that really go a mile.
Yeah.
But I hope that gives you a little insight on what a day is.
We have our first screenings. One just fell into our lap actually this weekend. And so as the weekends go on, we're like every weekend we have is booked until November with screenings.
Yeah. It's like we were saying, it's about attacking every avenue you can possibly find. Attack it. You're a yes man or woman for the next 90 days when you're doing this thing.
Until someone gives you a ridiculously high contracting bid, then you say no.
I have one question.
Yeah.
With all this going on, you have a lot on your plate, and you said 70 days till you open, plus however long you've been since it's been at your peak. When and how do you plan on practicing your scripts for when you actually do open?
We haven't memorized. We're good. No, that's actually a good point. Yeah. I was thinking about that in the shower yesterday. I never got to talk about it with Callan. So we are probably a little bit rusty right now in our scripts, to be 100% honest.
Oh, yeah.
As it gets closer, we're going to have to make time. And I say that very strongly, make time.
Instead of placing on our fish bowls, we can go to a coffee shop or sit right here on our couch and go over our scripts with each other. When we start hiring team members, we have to. So we're going to have to keep each other accountable. When we're driving around trying to get our fish bowl or pick out the business cards from our fish bowls, we can go over scripts in the car.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can do it in the car. There's what they tell you in Jumpstart is there's stuff you do when the sun's up and there's stuff you do when the sun's down. When the sun's up, your butt's in the community. You're going B2B. You're meeting people. You're trying to do health talks. You're placing fish bowls. You're checking fish bowls. You're going to networking meetings. You're shaking hands, kissing babies. When the sun goes down, you're going to your space to see what got done. You're sending thank you cards. You're working on your scripts. You're writing your scripts. I mean, we still have more things we have to write. As much of that stuff you can get done in school, the better. You know, Callan built our website, so that was a great way we save money using Wix.com, Wix.com.
Granted, a lot of people now that we're meeting are like, oh, your SEO is probably terrible. Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you kind of have to get practice with learning how to tell people no. And honesty is the best way to do it. A lot of people have said, oh, would you like someone to help you with get hire on Google? And we looked them up and they cost $1,000 a month. It's like, yeah, I'd love to have someone help me get hire on Google, but not for $1,000 a month.
No.
So we're straight up honest. We say, hey, we'd love to do that, but you know how it is. We're opening a business. Money's really tight. We'll talk to you in a year. And people respect that.
We budgeted more for screenings because we know that we can be really successful at them. And we're like, okay, well, website. That'll be a later thing. That'll be when we have more established, more income, more money. Then we'll go to websites. We save money on websites. We can spend more for screenings.
That's a really key point that Callan just made is do the things that will get people into your office. Do I know for a fact that Google will get someone in my office? I can't say for a fact that it will. It'd be
nice to be high up.
Right. Yeah, it would be great. Do I know that a Facebook ad will help me get it on people in my office? Yeah, probably. I mean, we're going to do Facebook stuff, but the things that I know will get people in our office are screenings and health talks. Even networking. We've seen people post on Facebook on the ANT page, hey, we're having trouble getting people in for our BNI. We're having trouble getting people in from our chamber. The things because we did it during our peak and now through school, screenings and health talks. So that's what we're going to focus on. Obviously, we're going to do networking, but once we open our practice, networking kind of falls to the wayside. We're still going to keep up with our BNI. We're going to stay as active in the chamber as possible, but we're going to go screening and give health talks. Matt asked another question.
The best ways that I found screenings is just wording like festivals and events, Fairfax, Virginia. I can find a way to word that in 5 different ways, and different websites always come up. I found one in the area that literally was like funinfairfaxvirginia.com or something, and it just listed all these events like by month, and it was fantastic. Some are not good. It's like arts and crafts, and it's literally just says only arts and crafts vendors. The one that we're doing this weekend was cheap. It's a 4-H fair. It's up a little like 20 minutes north of us, and we don't really know the area. We don't know who travels where.
So we're testing it out. It's $125.
Yeah, so it was cheap. So we're like, okay, we might as well do it here instead of spending $800 on one in the same location, and then to find out that people don't want to come down to Fairfax. But again, that's all making it's good practice, so we kind of can refresh on our verbiage. Learn what to say and just get better at the community and just better at explaining what makes us different than the 20 chiropractors they're going to pass on the way to our office.
And you can start looking now for events. Matt, I know you're in like 3rd or 4th quarter. If you don't know where you're going to go, don't look for events. But if you want practice, try to find events around Atlanta. Just if you're sitting there and you're bored in class, try some things. If you want to open in Jacksonville, for example, find events. A lot of these events happen every year. We're running into the 30th anniversary Oktoberfest and the 64th Fairfax Fall Festival and the 28th this and that and the 4th that. So honestly, you could build your marketing calendar now and have it look pretty good for 2-3 years from now down the line.
And it's all trial and error. Like if we pay for an event that we think is great, but then it turns out like it's not good, then we know not to do it next year. And instead we'll do one that also popped up on that day. We know we don't have money to fly all these students out to see us, so we have to limit the amount of screenings that we do in a weekend. And we just know that next year we'll be in more position financially to really attack everything. But it's still like you just learn as you go. Have good intuition.
Ask people.
Yeah.
What are the best events in the community? Go to Parks and Recs. Go to Parks and Recs websites. Type in taste of blank, taste of Reston, taste of Atlanta.
Eventbrite and Facebook haven't been the best for me.
Eventbrite's weird.
But I have found some through that. So.
On the topic of screenings, we got an additional question from Jessica. How did you start saving up as students to afford things like screenings and other marketing expenses?
We maxed out our student loans. I can't tell you what to do with your money, but I can tell you what we did. We got Grad Plus and we used all of it, and we put it in the bank. We still did, of course, we had date night every Friday. We didn't go crazy where, we're not going to from ages 22 to 25 not spend $1. We still did those things. We took a vacation in school. We did it on the cheap. We had our honeymoon. But it's about being smart. The government's giving you free money right now as a student, so try to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I am.
Not free money, but
then you find out it's not.
It's better than going to a bank. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had to take out student loans the entire time I was in school just to live, just to afford rent and everything. But I was always very conscious of my money, and I always put a certain amount of that into savings. So whatever I got from Grad Plus, a chunk of it, even if it was only 25% that month or that quarter, because I only got 200 back from Life, it was still something that I could save up for, so I could do the screenings, and I ended up with a good amount. So
yeah, that's not to say we have endless money. I mean,
we don't.
It's not like we said, oh, $10,000 spent on a screen. That's chump change.
We just know that screenings is one of our biggest.
Yeah, it was like every screen we pay for is a
Yeah.
discussion. It's okay, Callan. I
Is
found
this
this event.
worth it?
It's $800. It's a 2-day festival. It's a
30,000 people go to
yeah.
it.
It's like you kind of weigh the pros and the cons. It's like $800. You know what?
Yeah.
We have to do that. We're gonna.
We just found one the other day that was like 350, and it's a 2-day event, but only 250 people go, and it's a health fair, but only like 50% are people looking for answers, and we were just like, not worth it. It's in December, which is when it's not a big time for screenings, but we just said we could spend that $350 elsewhere.
Yeah, and it's easy. As a student, I always thought, oh, it's very easy to just spend money on screenings because you need to screen, but once you're actually spending the money, it becomes a lot more real. So my advice is when you're in school, screen like crazy, screen all the time so that when you go out in your community and you're about to write that check for $800 or $1,000, we've spent $1,000 on an event so far.
3.
What?
The wedding experience is 3.
Okay. Either way, when you're dropping that much money on screenings, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I know I can sign 20 people up at that 3-day festival, no problem. So that's my advice for screenings. Good question. Any other questions, Brian?
I don't believe so on the page. If anyone has any last-minute questions, you can post them, and Evan and Callan can answer that for you. If not,
just reach out to us on Facebook.
Yeah, thank you everyone for posting questions and for being on this call.
So we can close it out real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
You gonna say?
Just thanks for being on the call.
Yeah. What I'll say to you guys is make sure you go to conference. When you look at us, I know we might look like we have it all together. We really don't. It's you're learning as you go. There's nothing special about us.
Nothing.
Dr. Hess didn't, implant knowledge into my head, via injection. We went to AMPT. We stayed the course. Literally, I mean, we're a living testament of what can happen in AMPT if you just go to club and you go screening and you talk to docs and you go to conference. I mean, neither one of us are from chiropractic families. Neither one of us knew what chiropractic was when we came into school. We both thought it was back pain, neck pain. And we graduated principled. We graduated with a plan, as late as fourth quarter. I was sitting at
graduation just ready to leave.
Yeah. As late as fourth quarter, the quarter that I joined AMP, before that, I was playing hockey at Life. I didn't have any direction. It can happen quick, and it can happen for you. So if you just keep pushing, attack every day, never get complacent.
So
yeah.
It feels like yesterday I was like screening with Jessica and Claire at some festival that in Stockbridge that really didn't do anything, and we left early. But it really goes by so quick.
Yeah. So
quick.
Yeah. So don't think for a second that there's something special about us, or, only a few people in AMPT can do what so-and-so is doing. Like, oh, you look at Dan Wallace or the Hesses and say, well, there's something special about them. They all were you guys at some point. They were all a student getting on a call at 9:15, during OSCE week. You guys are doing the right things. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to us on Facebook. We're not in our office yet, so we're just kind of driving around the community. When I'm driving, Callan's sitting there on Instagram anyway, so you might as well Facebook message her. And
I'm doing productive.
just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I think.
So you might as well message her and get some questions answered. Please come to conference.
I'll answer anything unless it's about how like you were perfect in school or something. I failed like a lot of classes and still made it out.
That's another thing. Yeah, we both failed classes. So, you know, every setback you have, you kind of have to ask yourself, is that setback really going to matter 5 years from now? Is it going to matter 1 year from now? And the answer is no. You know, if your mission is strong enough and your why is big enough, no setback you have is going to matter in the long run. Push yourself in school, screen all the time. Don't worry about getting A's in your classes. Pass your classes. If you gave me a microbiology test right now, I'd fail.
Wow.
If you gave me an ortho, lab exam, I'd fail. I would fail miserably right now.
But you have to
not minimizing
do
it.
that for part 4.
When we were in school, we knew it.
Yeah.
We knew it like the back of our hand. We studied very hard for things that we had to study for. 5th quarter, you didn't see me screening much. 7th quarter, you didn't see us screening much. 12th quarter, didn't see us screening much.
I took a step back because I had OSCEs part 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
So I left amped a quarter early.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose your spots.
Mm-hmm.
For conference, it's fallen right around midterms week. I don't know exactly what week it is, but
I don't know either. That's a great feeling.
Yeah, you'll get there. But like we said before when we opened the call, is what I'm doing right now taking me where I want to go. Studying is important. Yes, studying is going to get you where you want to go long term. But when you choose between studying for 6 hours on Saturday versus being at AMP conference for 6 hours on Saturday, you can study in the evening. You can study on Sunday. You can study Friday before the social. But it's just like we talked about in the Jumpstart process. When the sun's up, you need to be in the community. When AMP's in town, you need to be there. I think that's a good thing to end on.
Yeah.
Unless you got something to say.
No, I don't.
Thanks for being on the call. Message us.
Have a great
night. We'll give you our phone numbers if you want.
Yeah.
Have a great night. Get some sleep. Early rise tomorrow.
Virginia's a great place to screen.
If you want to come screen, let us know. We have a cool apartment. We're going to have a pug soon.
Help us get to 300.
Just kind of staying on until everybody clicks end unless they have any more questions.
Nope. Good night.